Greetings, coaches. Thanks for being willing once again to partner with us in the Spiritual Life Office as we kick off small groups again for this semester. Your role in these students' lives is critical, and I know that you guys are discipling and mentoring the folks on your team much more than just what happens on a typical Thursday morning for chapel, and yet I also know that it's important for them to be able to receive some spiritual formation credit for these times. So here are a few details about our upcoming small groups and ways that you can be able to make sure that your team is going to be able to get small group spiritual formation credits for the times that you are meeting. Small groups kick off on October the 10th. That is next Thursday. And the reason we have it down for a Thursday is because there is that dedicated time where we don't have chapel during that Thursday time. So from 9:30 to 10:30, most of your students shouldn't have any academic things that are getting in their way from that space. So you can have your small groups starting next week, and they're all going to go all the way until November the 11th. So 6 straight weeks. You don't have to have your group meet during that time in particular. It doesn't have to be Thursdays at 9:30 a.m. And yet we've also found that that is a nice dedicated space. You can only meet once a week for spiritual formation credit for your small groups. So those 6 total weeks need to happen once each week. In other words, you can't meet 6 times in the same week for it. Small groups typically last about an hour long, and that's what you should be aiming at as well. If you need help with curriculum questions, or what are we going to talk about during this time, or how do I organize some of that content, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I would be happy to get you connected. Your students are certainly invited to be a part of any number of the small groups that we have going on throughout the course of this semester. But again, if they're going to be involved in one of your groups, these are the details that you need to know. Each week you're going to receive an attendance form from me. And on that attendance form, it's a Google Sheet. It's helpful if you'll have a Google account. That doesn't hurt to be able to get into it, but you wouldn't have to. You should be able to open it on your smartphone. And that Google Sheet will start by having the name of your team right there in the upper right-hand corner of the sheet. It'll tell you which week and the date that we're on for small groups, so you'll be able to see how many weeks you have left. Just below that, you're going to see a roster of all the people on your team. They're going to be listed there, so you'll see their M number, their last name, first name, and then the team name that you're a part of. You'll just simply check the box of the people who were in attendance for the whole small group time as you guys are meeting together during that space. If you see that there is somebody who hasn't been included on that attendance roster, just below on the bottom there, please do write their last name and their first name, and we'll make sure that their names get integrated not only for that week, but that they get moved up into the attendance roster so that they can receive spiritual formation credit easily when you click their names in the future. And then finally, we'd love to hear what's going on in your small groups. So oftentimes, so many of our transformational moments don't always happen in a large corporate setting. And it used to be that way in the past, that when we had chapel, it wasn't uncommon, almost every chapel, for people to want to come and pray at the altar. And we've found that that has shifted quite a bit, and that these small groups play a critical role for people to feel comfortable with other folks from their teams, from the things that they're interested, their dorms, things of that nature, to be able to share where they're at on the journey. So if you have an important moment happen in the context of your small group, please do write me a little note, challenges, things that are going well, things that you need help with. Any of that would be great right there. Finally, I want to say to you, it's critical that we get our attendance in every single week. I'm not sure we can make it much easier than sending you a Google Sheet and you simply check the boxes. But if you don't get the attendance in, your students can't get credit for attending that small group. And we all know that it is tricky when they have to start doing mental math and trying to remember which groups did they participate in. It really helps us a lot if you'll just turn that attendance sheet in each time that you get it. We'll send it to you. Should be by that Monday each week. If you'll click the names once you guys have met, and then you could submit it right back to us. You don't have to email it back to us. All you have to do is click those names, and it'll change it on our end, and we'll be able to see that as well. Finally, the last thing I would tell you is that as you turn those attendance sheets in, it typically takes us about a week to get their names uploaded. So our hope is that The names will be uploaded by early of the following week. These are being hand entered essentially, not quite that bad, but close. So if your students are wondering, why didn't my spiritual formation credits go in for our small group immediately after we met on Thursday? It's because we're not using those scanners to get people in that quickly. It just takes a little bit more time. If you have questions or things that you're wondering about, want to make suggestions, things that I can do for you, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'd love to hear your thoughts and your feedback. And again, I'm very grateful for your partnership.